This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Our number one story in the auto industry today is still President Trump's 25% import tariffs on parts and components coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico. The news sent automotive stock prices down, triggered warnings that car prices would go up by thousands of dollars, and threatened to wipe out profits at automakers and suppliers. But a huge reprieve might be coming. The Commerce Secretary says the administration is considering giving tariff relief to any vehicle that's compliant with the USMCA Free Trade Agreement. Well, guess what? That would include almost every vehicle imported from Canada and Mexico. Reuters reports that Trump may provide a 30-day exemption from the tariffs if an automaker shows it will increase manufacturing in the U.S. However, that could also hurt an automaker like Audi, which makes cars in Mexico, but not in the U.S. The Commerce Secretary said Trump wants to meet Canada and Mexico in the middle, which suggests the tariff will not be 25%. The current tariff on imported cars is only 2.5% and 0% on USMCA compliant cars. As we reported earlier this week, it looks like automakers in Europe won the battle to ease CO2 regulations. And Volkswagen, Stellantis, and Renault are going to benefit the most from the change. They account for more than half of all sales in the EU, and Bloomberg Intelligence estimates that the company's earnings will increase $3 billion if the rules are officially relaxed. Automakers wanted the targets eased because they said they face fines of up to 15 billion euros for missing the targets. So earlier this week, the EU proposed a 3-year window for meeting 2025 CO2 targets, meaning companies can miss the targets this year as long as they're over-compliant the following 2 years. While governments in the US, Canada, and Europe have enacted tariffs to keep Chinese EVs out, it's a different story in Australia, where there are no protections against them, and consumers are starting to embrace Chinese EVs, especially because of their lower prices. Chinese EVs account for about 1/3 of EV sales in Australia, and if you include Tesla's China-made vehicles, the share jumps to 2/3. BYD is also making big gains. Last year, about 1 in 4 EVs sold in Australia were a BYD, and the company expects to double sales this year. That would put BYD on track to pass Tesla by the end of the year. And thanks to the influx of Chinese EVs, electric vehicles now account for 10% of Australia's car market, and the share is expected to double by 2027. The bad sales news at Tesla keeps getting worse. In January, Tesla sales in Germany fell 59%. And last month, according to the German Federal Motor Transport Authority, they plummeted 76% with only 1,429 cars sold. Meanwhile, the overall EV market was up 31% in February. So far, Tesla sales are down 71% in Germany this year. And while some of that has to do with the ramp up of the new Model Y, it appears Elon Musk's political meddling in Germany is a bigger factor in driving customers away. But it's not just Germany where Tesla is having demand issues. As we reported yesterday, Tesla's deliveries in China fell 49% in February. So, to help boost sales in the country, Tesla announced an $1,100 insurance subsidy for purchasing a Model 3 until March 17th. And over in the US, it's offering 0% APR financing for new Model 3 buyers, and owners that qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit can get a deal for $0 due at signing and 0.99% APR.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Volvo revealed the all-new ES90 EV, which it says has styling traits of a sedan, a fastback, and even an SUV, so it's going to let you decide what to call it. But the fact that the ES90 shares its platform with the EX90 SUV and has a big battery in the floor also likely played a role in its appearance. The electric SUV and the ES90 feature similar-looking dash layouts with a 14.5-inch display screen in the middle. But the ES90 runs off a slightly different computing system. It's the first Volvo to be powered by 2 NVIDIA Drive Orin chips, which help run all of the vehicle's safety and technology equipment. It's also the first at the company to get an 800-volt architecture, which can add 300 kilometers or about 185 miles of range in 10 minutes of charging. Total WLTP range is estimated to come in at 700 kilometers or roughly 435 miles for models with a 106 kilowatt-hour battery pack and all-wheel drive. While Volvo says there will be all-wheel drive variants with an S at the end, it didn't reveal anything about the motor setups. However, it's likely close to the EX90 SUV, which has 2 all-wheel drive setups. One is 300 kilowatts, or nearly 410 horsepower, and the other is 380 kilowatts, or about 515 horsepower. The ES90 can be ordered right now in most of Europe and the UK, and Volvo says other markets will be added later this year and into 2026. Cadillac revealed what it's going to charge for the Escalade IQL, or what I like to call the Escalade-ical, the long wheelbase version of its full-size electric SUV. And since it's a premium product, it comes with a premium price, about $132,700, including destination charges. With a giant 205 kilowatt-hour battery pack, Cadillac estimates it will deliver 460 miles of range. It also boasts 750 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 miles an hour falls in 4.7 seconds, and it has a tow rating of 7,500 pounds. Production starts this summer at GM's Factory Zero in Detroit, which also makes the GMC Hummer and the electric versions of the GMC Sierra and Chevrolet Silverado. That's how General Motors plans to get manufacturing scale at that plant, by building 4 different vehicles for 3 different brands that all sit on the same architecture. Like Porsche did in 2005, another automaker known for its sports cars is coming out with its first SUV. Alpine will debut the A390 at the end of May. It's currently conducting cold weather tests on models with camo wraps, but it says they feature its final bodywork. While there's not a lot of details on the new 5-seater yet, Alpine did reveal it will be available with a 3 electric motor setup, 5 drive modes including a track mode, and active torque vectoring. The A390 will be built at one of the company's plants in France. Mercedes wants other road users to know exactly when its vehicles are operating in autonomous mode. It's actually been testing special turquoise marker lights in the US and California and Nevada since 2023, but it now also has approval to try the system out in Germany, which is the first European country to allow tests like this. The lights show up in the vehicle's headlamp and tail lamp housings anytime the company's autonomous system called Drive Pilot is activated. Mercedes hopes these tests lead to the marker lights becoming legal so it can put them on its production cars. Rivian landed a big pot of gold when Volkswagen agreed to pay $5.8 billion for its software-defined vehicle architecture. But Rivian is getting more than that out of the deal. It's also getting enormous purchasing scale from VW. In a post, here's what Wasim Ben Said, the head of software at Rivian, had to say.
We expect that the JV will allow Rivian to access a much more competitive pricing in terms of the shared ECU components through the incredible scale that the VW Group brings. And 3, what is really important is that this positions us as a technology provider of choice for the electronic architecture, the software stack, to address a broad set of vehicles, of architectures, and really eventually we believe getting that reference technology solution to many more OEMs.
You know, we think that's pretty interesting. Rivian expects to sell its technology to more automakers, and that could potentially bring in billions more to the company. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Intrepid Control Systems. Over-the-air engineering boost your game.
and by Teases Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.